Hi, I'm Extraayogurt and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're not new, then welcome back. And today we are building yet another business lot. And this time we'll be doing a flower shop. I've actually never had my Sims run a flower shop. Honestly, I've never had my Sims run a lot of these different businesses. So this was an interesting build for me. I think you guys will notice that I was really struggling with the exterior and all the like build mode components. I just had no idea what it was supposed to look like or anything like that. I had never built one before. So yeah, I knew that I wanted it to look kind of like a house turned into a flower shop. I'm sure you guys have seen that, and I've seen that a lot. They're like these businesses that basically were homes, but they just got turned into businesses. So that was kind of the look I was going for, and hopefully I captured it well. Another thing is I really tried hard not to spin the camera too much, and I think I did okay, at least for the building portion, but once we get into decorating and stuff, I kind of went back to my old ways of like constantly spinning the camera, but hopefully it's not too nauseating to watch. So yeah, I thought it would be cool to add a little diagonal kind of like display window at the front, and I don't know why it needed to be diagonal. I just thought it might be cool and might make it look a little bit different. So yeah, I went ahead and did that. And typically I really hate adding any kind of diagonal rooms to my builds, because when it comes to decorating them, it is just so annoying, and it's a lot harder for me to make it work. But yeah, you'll see that I leave those little pieces of foundation next to those wall cutouts, and that's because later on I wanted to make those some nice flower beds and have windows kind of looking onto the flower beds. But yeah, another thing with those diagonal rooms is that when it comes to adding the roofing for those parts, it tends to be really annoying, and you kind of have to do this that kind of like stacked roofing, which I don't love. But of course you can use the diagonal roofing tools. It's just a lot more difficult for me to get that to look right. So this is kind of what we settled for. But yeah, I hope you guys like the build, and yeah. Okay, but on the topic of roofing, I thought after I did the roof that it was just a little bit too like too much roof was showing. It was kind of like engulfing the entrance and engulfing the build. So I figured my style of signage for this business would be to add that chunk of wall at the top that you guys just saw me build. I feel like it's a really good way to like break up the roof when you feel like your roof is a little bit too big or too tall and you can't really do much about it. Because of course I can only make the roof so what's the word? So like short. I didn't want it to look too squished, but yeah, so I just added that big piece of wall up there, and that will later turn into our signage. Okay, and also for the next like 5 minutes, you guys are gonna watch me struggle with the doors and windows for this build, because like I said, I don't know, it's so, sometimes these builds just flow so like easily for me, because I know exactly what kind of look I'm going for, or already have something in mind. But with this build, I really felt like I was kind of working in the dark, and so it's just annoying that it took me so much time to figure out what I wanted to do. And there's one point at this build where I just stopped and went to bed and left it up on my computer and just thought about it some more before I finished. But But yeah, I was like, I didn't know what color scheme I wanted. I didn't know if I wanted it to look old or like cottagey or new. But yeah, we go through a lot of different color schemes. Well, I guess not so much the doors and windows, but more so the wall coverings is the thing that I struggled with. And then you guys will see me trying to use these stairs, which, don't get me wrong, I think they're really cute, but I don't know, they just give me like gingerbread house. And I don't think I've ever used the actual like flower shop theme stuff that came with Open for Business. At least that's what I call it, because they have all these items and build objects that match each other. There I am trying to place the matching door. I don't know, I just didn't want that look. It just looked a little bit too whimsical for me. And at least for this neighborhood, it's not really the style. Or maybe I don't know, I'm just bad at using these items. I'm really lost when it comes to trying to incorporate new things, but yeah, I gave it a try. I feel like those items would be really, really cute for a bakery or like something like that, like a little bakery, or even like a store that just sells baby stuff or something like that. So yeah, for the roof, I ended up going with this green slate, and I feel like that gives it a really nice cottagey feel, even though I wasn't explicitly trying to make it look like a cottage. That just makes sense for a flower shop. So I did end up going with that. And of course, in the beginning, you guys saw me elevate the terrain and try to kind of nestle it into the ground, because like, I don't know, I wanted the landscaping to really like engulf the bottom of the build and like kind of creep upward. And I thought the perfect way to do that was to make sure it's kind of nestled into the terrain. So yeah, so this big section right there, I wanted it to be like a faux chimney, and maybe I made it a little bit too big, but I promise in the end it ends up looking pretty decent. So yeah, this is where we started experimenting with all types of wall coverings. And even though we're on a small lot, you guys can see I definitely used every inch of space I possibly could. So yeah. Okay, so as you guys can see, I went through a lot of different options for the fake chimney. Further along in the video, I do end up just leaving it as 2 stories, and I even removed the floor covering from the very top just because I want it to look like you can actually like go down into the chimney. But yeah, in the meantime, you guys are gonna see me just going through so many different options. But it is around this point where I finally start deciding what color scheme I want to go with. And for this build, I do end up going with kind of like darker colors, and it ends up looking really nice and warm. And I really like the look of it in the end. But yeah, I was really annoyed trying to figure out what to do. And of course, not only trying to figure out what looks good, but trying to think of what I haven't used yet. I've done so many builds at this point that I'm sure you guys can relate. Like, you just try to think outside the box a little bit more. It just gets to a point where you're like, I feel like every build I do looks the same, where you have like your go-to items and wall coverings that you use. But yeah, I think this looked pretty cute. The kind of like off-white brick mixed with the orange, what do you call it? Scallop siding. I thought that was super cute. I never used the scallop siding, and it perfectly matched the stairs and everything. So a little bit off topic, but I just wanted to acknowledge that for 5 weeks now, including this week, we have consistently gotten a video uploaded each week. So I'm really proud of that, and I'm gonna try to keep this streak going. Some builds just take me longer than others, but I feel like a week should be enough time for like any size of build, as long as I'm working on it a little bit each day. So yeah, I'm really proud of that. Thank you guys for sticking around even through the inconsistencies. I really appreciate it. And yeah, many more builds to come. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I literally just, every day that I leave my house, I see things that inspire me to want to build. So yeah, anyway, we have moved on to adding the rest of the windows. I switched out that 2-tile window for the single tile version, just because I wanted there to be consistency all around, no matter how many windows I put. And then here I am covering up the inner wall of the foundation, which may seem really weird. Well, it is really weird, but I just like to make sure everything is as polished as possible. It's really important to me, and I feel like it adds a lot to the build, particularly when you're in live mode and you're cutting away the walls and you can see everything. Yeah, it's really helpful. It's easy on the eyes, makes things look even nicer. So yeah, and then I'm just, of course, spinning the camera around and checking everything again. And then we're painting the terrain. I always do this technique where I paint the whole lot, and then I like to add some little dead grass like spots around to make it look more realistic. And I kind of focus the dead grass wherever there's floor tile, wherever there's foundation, and wherever there's a wall. So yeah, it just looks, yeah, I feel like it looks so much better than just plain, just perfectly green grass all around. I feel like the only instance I really like that perfect look is if, say, maybe you're building like a mansion or some kind of estate where the landscaping is going to be like pristine, or like with the country club we built, the golf course, I believe, had like perfectly green grass. And I feel like that was really fitting for those kinds of lots. So yeah. Okay, I don't know why, but this part of the build just took me so long and took me forever to figure out. I don't know. Uh, I really wanted those little flower planter things under the sign. I thought it would add something different because I'm always using those Sim Greek letters for signage. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I made this so difficult, because I had it like this and then I was like, well, I want it to be like inside of the wall. Like I want it to look like, it's fake, like it's part of the sign. So I scoot them back a bit, and then I'm kind of messing with how it's centered, and I'm doing all this stuff. But yeah, and I keep adding that foundation and then deleting it just to have to go back and edit the sign again. So at this point, it's not letting me delete the floor tiles underneath, and I'm not really sure why. I end up figuring it out. I even like exited my game because I thought my game was broken. But yeah, it just was not letting me delete those floor tiles. Obviously now looking back, it's because there was an object on them. So I had to go back and redo this without the floor tiles. I keep having to delete those stairs so I could place a support. But yeah, I really like that little addition to the sign, and I think it looks just so cute and something a little bit different than what I'm always doing. Oh, that was my cat's food just dispensing just now. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, so yeah, we figured out the sign, and then I went ahead and deleted some ceiling tiles from the planter boxes just because I feel like it wasn't really necessary. And yeah, I just went ahead and added that half fence on top of the signage just to make it look more polished, so we don't have that just raw like roof edge sticking out. I mean, wall edge sticking out. But yeah, isn't it looking so cute at this point, guys? I really, really like it. And of course, I always love to fence off the back of the lot, because I hate when Sims, like, say it maybe rains and it leaves puddles everywhere, and then your Sim just has to go all the way to the back corner of the lot and start splashing in the puddle. So I really like to fence off parts of the lot that I don't want the Sims going to. Yeah, I don't know, I just find that so annoying when they do that. But I thought that little white picket fence looked perfect, and it's looking like I unintentionally started using white as an accent color, and I really like how it turned out. So I do add see those unconnected pieces of fence at the front? That's literally to landscape around. I just felt like I didn't want just like, I needed something to guide my landscaping. I'm really, really not great at landscaping. I have gotten better over the years, like I've worked on it, but I don't know. Landscaping is very overwhelming. There's just too many options. So yeah, I end up adding some street lights to the ends of those fences, and I think it looks really, really cute. I like how it gives it a sort of fake house kind of vibe, I guess. But yeah. Okay, so at this point, our landscaping is pretty much done. I've literally clumped a bunch of different plants together, which, yes, that's going to be a nightmare when the plants start dying. But yeah, whenever I do that, definitely don't expect to be able to take care of those plants. You just have to like delete them and replace them, unfortunately. But I just love the way that it looks so like nice and cluttered and realistic. But I definitely understand that can be so frustrating. I honestly, because this is going to be like a business, or it should be a business, I don't think you have to worry too much about the gardening. Honestly, I'm not sure. I really don't play business lots enough to know. But anyway, we are moving on to the layout. I made sure that I sectioned off all the necessary rooms first before I start getting carried away, and then we don't have space for things. So that room right there, that's going to be the employee break room, which is basically just a little kitchenette, some seating, and a phone, which is something we've added to all of the business lots so far. It's really important to keep your employees happy, if you have any. But yeah, I thought that was a really cute little addition there with the door, with the window and everything. And then in the other corner over here, we have the restrooms, which are just 2 separate bathrooms and a little hallway. And then in the top right corner, that is going to be the flower arrangement and checkout area. So okay, so this part is interesting because I knew I wanted black and white like checkered floor tiles, but the ones that the game has were too small and it just looked way too busy. So I'm using these half fences to help me guide my own like custom floor, and I also wanted them to be like diagonal. So surely there's an easier way to do this, but this is just what I come up with on the spot. So there was this little area in front of the full-length windows that the floor tiles were not, I don't know how to explain it. The space wasn't big enough for the floor tiles to continue, so I just ended up blocking out that space and making it a different color with different tiles. So yeah, I really love how this floor came out. It's not often that I do these really, really busy floorings, but I love how this one came out. And of course it's busy, but not quite as busy as it would look if the squares were smaller, if that makes sense. So I thought this was kind of the perfect balance of what I wanted. I also feel like it just makes this build just that much more special to me, because it has that little bit of extra effort that I haven't replicated in any of my other builds. So yeah. For the wall coverings, I chose to go with this. It's an off-white wall covering, but it looks a little bit dingy, like it almost looks like stucco, and I really liked that look for the interior of this build. Now the chimney, that is the last time I'm going to touch the chimney for this build. That's its final form, and I really like how that came out in the end. So unlike our last business build, the electronics store, for this build I wanted to make sure I added the actual crafting benches to the lot. One, because I really love the flower arrangement animations, and two, because I feel like this is just that kind of like cozy little like cute business where they kind of make it right in front of you and then they give it to you, rather than, you know, they make it at home and then they just place it on the shelves here. The electronics store was it was much more like retail themed, and that's why I didn't want to include any like robotics crafting benches there. It was just more of like a put things on display kind of store. But Here, behind the cash register, I made sure to add a couple of crafting benches, and I also think it just adds a really nice, nice touch to the way things look. I made sure to add a sink back there. Of course, you have to fill your vases with water, and I put a lot of these display trays on all of the surfaces so that you could put plenty of flowers. But yeah, also something I did before I even started building was I had a sim make all the different flower arrangements just so I could see what types of items need to be able to fit on display. So I'm gonna put a little picture up here so you guys can see all the different sizes and types of flowers that you can make. And I made sure to include a spot for every kind of size of flower arrangement. Now I did stock pretty much every single shelf and every single surface with a plant object, but of course you can delete what you need to delete to make room for your Sim's personal arrangements. So yeah. Okay, so for some reason, the open for business shelves, just none of them matched the kind of vibe I was going for. I actually really did not want to use them, so I resorted to using a bunch of tables, counters, end tables, dining tables and stuff with these display trays on them instead. And yeah, so that display window, I wanted to be nice and cluttered. I wanted you to be able to see a lot of different plants from the outside of the building. And so it's not super accessible for Sims to look at and view things, but I think it looks really, really nice from the outside. I also have to say that I feel like the display trays are super underused. They are literally so helpful when it comes to making businesses and when you don't want to use those open for business shelves. Of course, you can place things directly on the tables and things, but the tray just makes it so that you can line up a bunch of objects on a singular square. So yeah, I added some of those half walls with the planters on them. It's actually funny because I always see those in the catalog and I always think, like, in what situation would I ever use that? Like, I just can't think of one, and it was actually perfect for this build. So I added one next to the cash register because I kind of wanted to section off where the line would form, and I thought that was a really cute way to do it. So yeah, I added a lot of surfaces. Like I said in the last video, definitely don't feel like you have to set every single item for sale. Some stuff can just be for decoration or to make the store look more full, and you can just set for sale like a few things if you want. But yeah, then again, of course, if you're actually trying to make like a big profit, of course you probably want to set as many things for sale as you can. But I really like packed this store with plants, as many as I could, and like usual, I play tested this lot. The Sims got around just fine, and unlike the salon and the electronics store, you really can't do anything with this lot unless you have a Sim own it and set items for sale. There's pretty much nothing else to do other than use the bathroom and use the break room. So you definitely want to have a Sim own this business. And I just love how it came out. This has to be like one of the easiest builds to furnish that I've had, because literally I just had to put every single plant that I could. And plants make a build look so beautiful. So course, I had to come back for my favorite part of the build, which is the lighting. As usual, like, the lighting just makes the entire build come to life. I really feel like my builds are nothing without the lighting, and as usual, I wanted to go for a lot of warm lighting. I didn't want anything too harsh. However, I did put a lot of lights, and in the daytime, if you have the lights on, it might feel a little bit harsh. It might feel like a little bit too much, but at night, it definitely, to me, is like the perfect amount, and it just feels super warm and cozy, and I really, really love it. I also kind of like how this build feels like it's an older building, and that's exactly what I was going for. So, well, that's kind of not true because I had no idea what I was going for, but at some point throughout the build, I realized I wanted it to look like an older building. But yeah, I can't remember the last time I was in like a plant store other than like, you know, the garden section of like a grocery store. But this, like, I would love to see a place like this in person. It just, I don't know, it just makes me want to buy a million plants. So I used a lot of these little sconces, and I kind of found a little place on the windows to put them because the wall space was already pretty full. So I tried to squeeze them in places that they would go a little bit less noticed. So yeah, I'm so proud of the flooring. I know it's super simple, but that just, I don't know, that little addition just makes me so happy. And I want to try to start making more of my own floorings. When you do a lot of no CC builds, it really forces you to get creative, and I love that. I honestly feel like I don't need much CC in my game to enjoy building and furnishing. Honestly, the way that I build when I'm just building versus the way that I build when I'm playing an actual household is the difference is so funny. Like, when I'm playing an actual household, I couldn't care less what anything looks like. I literally just build whatever is gonna keep my Sims alive. But okay, so here I am adding some lights to the signage outside, and of course, once again, I have to add a little support so that I can place things properly. And we are about to get into some final screenshots. But yeah, I hope you guys really like the build. I hope you download it, and be sure to have a Sim actually own this business for it to be, you know, something useful in your community, so your Sims can actually come to this lot and buy something. Or, I mean, I know some people just have their Sims go to community lots to meet people, so I guess you don't have to set it as a business. But anyway, yeah, so here are some nice little screenshots. I love that you can see some of my other lots in the background, and it's just so cute. Like I said, in some areas the lighting is going to look very harsh because it's set to daytime right now, but at night the lighting is just perfect in my opinion. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and let me know what you guys think, and I can't wait to see you in the next build. Bye bye.